Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This video remarks the beginning of a big series. I've played with a lot of video games over these years and I've shared some of my experiences on this channel. But now I decided to cover it all, every single game I've ever played with. I will tell my opinion about each game and show some footage, which usually will not be mine, just to clear that. Through this series, you'll see what happened earlier, the things that have changed, and so on. So let the journey begin. Now, first of all, I know what I had just said, but I won't necessarily cover every single game this time. That's because in this episode, I'll talk about the beginning. So, how did my gaming journey start? Well, it all started with a laptop. Pretty much from the age of 5, I've been trying some games on the computer. These were the so-called flash games. There were many websites I visited during these some years. I always had old and new favorites, and I hope you can understand that I simply cannot remember everything I tried. This part only would also take forever to finish if I did that. To be honest, I'm not sure for how long I've tried these games. There were surely times later too when all I wanted is to play some tanky online. I will cover it another time, but I think it mostly stopped once I became around 12. So that is a 7-year period. Wow. Damn it, time passes so fast. Okay, let's rewind back to 5-year-old me. It kinda sucks, but I don't know what my first true video game was. The earliest thing I can remember is a website called etherwood.who. I'm happy to announce that it still exists, but it's completely different now. It has an educational purpose, but it's quite good at that, or at least it was. Unfortunately, there's one major thing that disappeared, and that is the traffic park section. Back then, you could make your own car, which really was like one from the Pixar movies. You had to take care of it, could play mini games, and watch some stories, so it was kind of like Pooh. These short stories always had something to do with the rules of the road. It was so cool. This was the biggest part of the website, but the other games themselves were also good. Most of them taught you to type, or some required different skills. On weekends, I always visited this site, and for 1 year or so, this was the only place I visited. It's worth to know that I was a kindergartner when I started this whole thing, and I thought the new generation is starting too early. Let's jump a bit in time. I'm probably 7 or 8 years old. Young Bola starts to explore the internet a bit more in depth. This was the point where I truly found flash games. One website I returned to was 55555.who. Get it? Because 5 pieces of 5. There were a lot of flash games in different categories. Sorry, did I say were? Oh, my bad. It's still the same it was back then, even with the shutdown of flash games. If you didn't know, you can't play these games anymore because the support was cut sadly. But many were saved and are still playable with an appropriate app or add-on. I'm quite sad that this new generation cannot truly experience what it is like searching for a game and playing it immediately. But I guess there are still a couple of them you can play immediately. I hope that not many masterpieces were lost. The most memorable games from here are the trademarked ones. For example, Mario, Sonic, Star Wars, Marvel, etc. Some Sonic and Mario games were especially detailed. I clearly remember playing the Sonic RPGs, it was so cool. But there were other categories too, and there was a particular fighting game I loved. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of it, and I couldn't find it. I say that it was kind of like Smash Bros, but characters had a life bar. It was really fun. It's not Super Smash Flash, by the way. I've actually played with a lot of Soul games because they're full of great puzzles. I always use the guide in the end, but that doesn't matter. Others, I don't really know. There are some games that come to my mind, but they either weren't so special or don't know the name of. And this is the point where everything gets tangled up. I don't remember the exact date, so sorry about that. The first time we visited my cousin's family, I received a portable game machine. I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Thinking about it now, it wasn't a huge thing, but it had a lot of games on it. Actually, before that, I had another portable game device, but that was rather annoying, so it's not worth mentioning. The good one was an orange My Audio machine. It had sports games and other types of games too. I could spend a lot of time with it, and it became another way of playing video games. Best of all, I could take it anywhere. I tend to forget about this little machine, but for good reason. After all, it was just one of those cheaper PSP knockoffs. I still played with Flash games, of course. My cousin himself gave me the machine, and that's because he had an actual PSP. It's needless to say this, but that one is much better. I saw him playing some games like Ben 10, Lego Harry Potter, and Medieval. However, the PSP would eventually have another owner. Yes, I got a PSP too. Why? Because he simply didn't use it anymore. He had other gadgets. I wonder what will happen to them. Anyways, the PlayStation Portable, or simply PSP, is yet again a portable console. Ooh, you didn't see that coming, did you? This was my first true console. My cousin gave a couple of games too, so what did I first play with? Game number 1, Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. I didn't play a lot with it back then, mostly because of my lack of English. Mind you, I was about 8 years old, and lack of, let's face it, skills. But there was still something I liked about it, even back then. I've obviously finished this game by now, and I have mixed feelings about it. It was my first Ratchet and Clank game, but it's not a great one. I'm fine with it, I have beaten it several times because of armor sets and bonuses, but fans say that this one is one of the weakest parts in the series, and I can understand that. Game number 2, Secret Agent Clank. Boy, when I first tried it, I absolutely hated this game. I didn't play it stealthy enough, and that punished me. I think I compared this one too much to the other Ratchet and Clank game and tried to play it accordingly. I hated it so much, in fact, that I haven't touched it for at least 6 years. When I tried it again, I was very surprised. What I saw now was a great stealth game. I don't blame myself not playing it earlier, it was much better this way. I like both the story and the gameplay, so this time I don't agree with the fans. I get it, it's a somewhat weird departure from the series, but I think that makes it unique. Game number 3, Ape Academy. This is a collection of mini-games and I think it's fun. For a long time I had no idea about the main series, but knowing that Ape Escape is about catching monkeys, now that's quite an odd spin-off. I don't like it now that much, but there was a time when I just played this game only. Those were weird days. Games number 4 and 5, Lego Batman the video game and Lego Harry Potter years 5 to 7. If I'd have to highlight the most important PSP games I've played with, these would be among them. The first time I tried Lego video games. Something really clean because I loved playing through both games. Smashing objects for fun, building something cool, progressing through levels along with a new story. I wasn't familiar with Harry Potter back then. This was made for me. And would you believe, Lego Batman was the first game I've ever totally completed. So my completionist side was born here. I prefer Lego Batman over Lego Harry Potter, but I recently realized that the PSP version is much different from the other ports, so I might replay the better version. But it's sad that I still haven't played with the first part. Oh well, one day. Game number 6, Geronimo Stilton Return to the Kingdom of Fantasy, the video game. Another sequel instead of the first game. Seems like I didn't have this older allergy I have now. Anyways, this is a fun game full of mini-games, but it is mostly for younger children. It's cool that you can explore different areas, apparently it was a new thing. It also follows a book it is based on. If you haven't read it, then give it a try, although if you're over 12, it's not worth it. I hope Geronimo Stilton is still popular. I played the game for a while, but then I got stuck at one question which seemed to have no right answer. It took years to solve that, kind of similar to Secret Agent Clank's case. I'll show you the question. Here, what do you think? Which rectangle is it? Is it this one? Or this one? Neither. It's this one surrounding the question. Tricky. It wasn't the same completing it as a senior class student, I think, but still a cool little game. I also made a video about it, I told about it there too. The last game was a game based on Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. It was fine, I liked it, but it is a film-based game, so what do you expect? But I also totally completed that. It didn't take very long to get something new, but that's gonna be in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even got a bit nostalgic. If you liked it, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye.